Hello kiddos of class 9, I'm back with part 2 of your third unit. I'm going to start a reading which is titled as Swami is expelled from school. I've already made part 1 where I've discussed everything about the author R.K. Narayan. I suggest you to go back and watch it if you haven't. Now in order to understand this story, you need to have an idea of the novel Swami and Friends. The novel Swami and Friends was written by R.K. Narayan in the year 1930 and it was published in the year 1935. The novel consists of 19 chapters and this story is taken from the 12th chapter. The title of the 12th chapter is Broken Panes. Pane refers to a frame that holds a glass. Here, pane is a window glass. Now before we understand chapter 12, let me give you a short introduction about the novel Swami and Friends. Now the novel Swami and Friends is a fictional one and it is set in a fictional town of Malgudi. Like I said in the previous video, R.K. Narayan has created a fictional town and most of his works have the same setting of Malgudi. This novel deals with the childhood experiences of a 10-year-old innocent school-going boy, Swaminathan, who is referred as Swami. The major themes that the novel covers are the theme of authority, rebellion and independence. In the beginning of the novel, we see that Swami was just a part of the crowd. He faced authority, he faced domination by the headmaster of his school. Swami studies in Albert Mission School. There are just two schools in Malgudi. The very first school is the Board High School and the other one is Albert Mission High School. So the headmaster of Albert Mission School is quite strict and he beats up the children quite often for things like not doing homework or not paying attention in the class, etc. Now because of the fact even Swami is beaten up and punished, he doesn't feel like attending classes. So he finds excuses to skip going to school. However, another authority is his own father. Now Swami's father is depicted as an independent man who is an apolitical man in nature. Apolitical means a person who doesn't believe in politics. So Swami's father has a mind of his own. He is an independent man and he wants his son to be independent as well. He expects a lot from his son and he wants him to attend classes regularly and expects sincerity and discipline out of his son, due to which Swami feels burdened because he has this responsibility of proving himself as ideal son and ideal student at the school. But the society or the school and even his father never understand his perspective. They never try to understand his mind. So this is the journey of the Swami who was just a part of crowd, who just didn't know how to put out his thoughts into a meaningful behavior. He just suffered all the authority, all the domination quietly. But as the novel progresses, we see that he learns to speak for himself. He rebels against the wrong things, the injustice which was happening to him at school, and he becomes independent at last. While he condemns the headmaster for punishing him, he says words like, "I don't care for your dirty school." Swaminathan says these lines. These lines show that he has realized his self-worth and he no longer chose to be a victim of domination. So he says these words and he walks out. He leaves the school, Albert Mission School, and goes to join the Board High School. And the importance of friendship is also mentioned in the novel. Swami has a lot of friends, out of whom money is his best friend, and Rajam is the police superintendent's son. He is slightly arrogant and there are often a lot of quarrels among them. But despite this, the meaning of their friendship is not lost, is kept the same throughout the novel. The character of Swami also represents the Indians. As the novel was set in British India, the weaker version of Swami in the beginning of the novel, who just tolerated all the domination, was similar to those of Indians who just tolerated quietly all the domination of the Britishers. And as the novel progresses, Swami eventually learns to speak for himself, which again represents the Indians who participate in freedom struggle and then gain or attain independence from the British. So that's the reason why the theme of independence is also covered in this novel. Now let's understand the chapter 12, Broken Panes. So what makes Swami to break the window and what happens after he is beaten up? How does he react? And everything is what we are going to know now. So it was an evening of 15th of August 1930 and India was struggling for freedom from the Britishers. A political worker, Gauri Shankar, was put in prison. So the people of Malgudi were quite agitated, they were quite angry and outrageous. They were protesting against this imprisonment of the political worker Gauri Shankar. The people were actually struggling for freedom under the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi. So that evening of 15th August 1930, an activist was giving a speech to the people of Malgudi. Now Swaminathan was the part of this crowd. He was sitting there along with his friends and listening to this speech. The activist there was actually trying to boost the morale of Indians. He was trying to motivate them by asking them to realize their self-worth and stop being slaves to the English. He said things like Indians are capable to dissolve England just by spitting at it. The saliva of all the Indians could actually dissolve England. He also encouraged the Indians to stop using foreign-made products. Now this speech impacted the people of Malgudi. It impacted their minds. Swami was just a 10-year-old innocent boy. He was also quite moved by this speech of that activist. His friend Mani, who was sitting next to him, says that the coat which Swami was wearing was made of British cloth. Now on listening to this, Swami feels quite embarrassed. He immediately takes off his coat and burns it in the bonfire. By doing this act, he thinks that he's actually proving his patriotism towards his country. Despite the fact he doesn't realize what is struggle, what is freedom, what is independence, he just doesn't know all of it. But still, he was moved and impacted by the activist speech that at that moment, he did not think of anything else. He just took out the jacket and he burns it off. As he was on his way to his home, he encounters another man. A man approaches Swami and he also says that the cap which Swami was wearing was also not an Indian product. It was a foreign-made product. Now Swami feels the same embarrassment once again and he immediately tears his cap and throws it away. He comes back to his house and he sleeps for that night. The next morning when he wakes up, he realizes that he cannot actually go to school without the cap. His father is quite strict. What reason would he say to his father? What would he say if his father asks him that where is the cap? All these thoughts were going on. Now he was just thinking not as a patriot, not as a responsible Indian citizen, but just as a 10-year-old boy who is worried about being punished by his father. For a while he thinks to tell the truth, but then he realizes that his father was angry over something else, so he somehow gets out of the house. He takes his school bag, he leaves for school, and on his way to school he sees a group of people protesting against this imprisonment of Gauri Shankar. A man approaches Swami and he says that Albert Mission School is closed. There will be no classes for the day. Now Swami feels really happy because Like I said, he was being extremely humiliated at the school and punished. He never really wanted to attend the school. So this protest came as an opportunity for him to escape from going to school. So there were a lot of people in the crowd and they were moving in a procession. They were shouting, they were crying the slogans such as Hail Gauri Shankar, Hail Mahatma Gandhi, and they were out to close down the school and other offices on the streets. He doesn't go to his house. An idea strikes his mind. He thinks that it would be a great idea to join in the protest. Of course, he was thinking as a patriot, he was thinking as Indian citizen. He was moved by the speech and he wanted to protest against the injustice which was happening upon Indians. At the same time, he wants a reason to tell to his father about the missing camp. So he joins in this protest. He becomes the part of that mob. Mob refers to the angry group of people who are out for destruction. They destroy things. You might have observed during the strikes, they burn buses, they burn all other public property. The angered crowd which is out to destroy things is called mob. So he joins this mob and the mob goes straight towards Albert Mission School. The school was going on as usual, but these people who were protesting, they start shouting, they start demanding the headmaster to close down the school for the day. Some of the children were still inside the class, while others joined in the protests. Now Swami notices that a boy, a high school boy, was pelting stones at the school class window. Now Swami finds this quite interesting because he's just 10-year-old. He is absolutely innocent and mischievous at the same time. He picks up the rocks, he picks up the stones from there and he hits them at the headmaster's office window. He breaks the headmaster's office window, and while he does that, he thinks he's taking revenge from the Britishers who cut the thumbs of the weavers. The Britishers actually cut the thumbs of the weavers and they made them as their slaves. He felt he was taking revenge from those who chose to be the slaves of the Britishers, because he thinks that everybody has become the slaves to Britishers. Even the school officials have turned into slaves. That's the reason why they need to be punished, and that motivates him to break the office window. So while he does that, the peon, the office assistant, he notices Swami breaking the window, breaking headmaster's office window. Now as soon as the peon sees him, Swami immediately ducks, he bends down. By the time the headmaster asks the students to get inside, the crowd or the mob moves away, because one of them comes and informs them that the board high school is still going on, it's still continuing, we need to stop that school. So the mob leaves Albert Mission School and it goes towards the board high school. Now Swami participates in the protest there. They demand the headmaster of the board school to shut down the school, but he doesn't shut down. He says he would call police if the mob did not leave. So the angry mob tries to be there, it just doesn't move from there. So the police officials arrive and like I said, the superintendent is Rajam's father. He arrives there and he demands the officers to warn the mob. If they leave, it's okay. If they don't, he demands them to beat up the people. He asks them to do the lathi charge. So the police officers, they try to stop the angry mob, but it just doesn't stop. People don't stop protesting, they don't stop destroying. So what does this superintendent do? He asks the officials to beat people up. So the police officials, they start beating up the people. Now Swami gets really scared because he's part of that mob. He participated in the protest. So Rajam's father sees Swaminathan there and he asks, what was he doing? What are you doing here, Swami? He asks him and Swami apologizes, saying, sorry sir, sorry. He then demands him, he shouts at him, he calls him donkey and asks him to get out of the place. Now this makes Swami quite angry because Rajam's father calls him a donkey. So he goes back to his house and His father returns after a while. His father enters with the news that Rajam's father is such a butcher. He is beating up people in a very bad manner. A lot of people are hospitalized. Now Swami realizes this. Okay, this could be a great opportunity to use in order to provide an excuse for his missing hat and coat. He says that even he faced the protest, and one of them actually started beating Swami up. His father asks him what was the reason, why did the man beat you up? Then Swami says, because the man thought that the cap which Swami was wearing was made of foreign cloth. The cap and also the coat. Swami says that he tried to deny in the beginning, but the mob did not listen. They started beating him up, and that's how he lost his cap and coat. Then Swami's father gets really angry because he's apolitical and he doesn't want his child to be the part of the politics. He asks him whether his son really joined in the protest himself. Swami refuses. He says he did not join in the protest. However, he was forced to take off his cap and coat because they thought they were made of foreign cloth. Now, Swami's father gets angry and he says, who told you that they were made of foreign cloth? I would never make you wear any cloth or anything made of foreign material. It is a pure khaddar. It's a pure Indian made cloth. This coat and the cap is made of Indian cloth. Why would I make you wear foreign made product? Swami realizes his mistake, but however, he doesn't open his mouth in front of his father. So he uses this incident as a reason of losing his cap and coat. Now he sleeps, and the next morning he goes to school as usual. Let's see what happens after going to school. Now here the story starts. Swami is expelled from school. The headmaster entered the class with a slightly flushed face and a hard, ominous look in his eyes. So now Swami is in school. Remember, few of the children were already inside the classroom while the protest was going on the previous day. Few others were out. Among those few students, Swami was one of them. So the headmaster is very angry and he entered the class with a flushed face. Flushed means extremely angry face, and a hard, ominous look. Ominous means a suggestion that something bad is going to happen. Remind yourself of the days when you were punished. Remind yourself of your teacher's face. Just by looking at his or her face, you might understand what is going to happen within a minute. That is ominous look, a suggestion that something evil, bad is going to happen. Swaminathan wished that he had been anywhere but there at that moment. What did Swaminathan think? He was thinking he wished that he had been somewhere else rather than being present in the classroom because he was really nervous. The headmaster surveyed the class for a few minutes and asked, "Are you not ashamed of coming and sitting there after what you did yesterday?" Just as a special honor to them, he read out the names of a dozen students or so that had attended the class. So what happened? Now the headmaster is very angry and he asks the students, were they not ashamed of being present after what happened yesterday, after what they did yesterday? And he calls out the names of the students who were present the previous day. And then in the next moment, he calls out the names of the students who were absent. And what does he do after that? He asks the absentees to stand on the benches as a part of punishment. He asks the students who were absent to stand on their benches. He felt that punishment was not enough and asked them to stand on their desks. So after a while, the headmaster realizes that standing on the bench, making them stand on the bench is not enough. So he makes them to stand on the desk instead. Swaminathan was among them and felt humiliated at that eminence. So Swami was one of them and he really feels quite embarrassed, very ashamed, because it was a great insult to be standing on the desk in front of the whole class. So Swami is a very strong character and He has a lot of self-respect. So this punishment was quite embarrassing for Swaminathan. Then they were lectured. When it was over, they were asked to offer explanations one by one. Then what happened? They were lectured. The headmaster scolded. He shouted and he asked them the reason for not being present the previous day. Let's see what reasons do they give. One said that he had an attack of headache and therefore could not come to school. He was asked to bring a medical certificate. So one of the students say that he was not able to attend the class the previous day because he had a headache. So the headmaster asked him to bring a medical certificate as a proof. The second said that while he had been coming to school on the previous day, someone had told him that there would be no school and he had gone back home. So the other boy who was standing says, the reason why he did not attend the school was one of the men approached him and he said that there was no school. The school was closed for the day and that's the reason why he went back home. Now the headmaster gets angry. The headmaster replied that if he was going to listen to every loafer who said there would be no school. Loafer means a worthless man. Okay? An absolute rascal or a useless person is known as a loafer. So the headmaster gets really angry and he asks the boy whether he would believe in any worthless man if he says there's no school. He should not believe in any man who says there's no school. He should come to school and verify whether it's really closed or not. He deserved to be flogged. Flogged means beaten up, to be thrashed. Anyway, why did he not come to school and verify? So the headmaster asks, why didn't you come to school and verify whether the school was functioning or not? No answer. The punishment was pronounced, 10 days attendance cancelled, 2 rupees fine and the whole day to be spent on the desk. So what was the punishment? 10 days attendance was cancelled and 2 rupees fine was levied upon the students. The whole day they are supposed to stand on the desk. The third said that he had an attack of headache. The fourth said that he had stomachache. The fifth said that his grandmother died suddenly just as he was starting for school. So the boys who were standing, each of them they started to give excuse. They started to provide an excuse. So one of them said he had a stomachache, the other said he had a headache, the other said a man approached him and told him that there was no school, and the other one says his grandmother died and that's the reason why he could not attend school. The headmaster asked him if he could bring a letter from his father. No, he had no father. Then who was his guardian? His grandmother. So the fourth boy says that his grandmother died, that is the reason why he could not attend school the previous day. So the headmaster asks him to bring a written letter as a proof, as an evidence. So the boy replies that he has nobody to write, he has no father. Then the headmaster asks him, who is your guardian? He says his grandmother. Now the headmaster is shocked because he said his grandmother died. How is this possible? But the grandmother was dead, was she not? No, it was another grandmother. The headmaster asked, how many grandmothers a person could have? So the boy said another grandmother was looking after him. Now the headmaster is quite surprised. He asks the boy, how many grandmothers do you have? No answer. Could he bring a letter from his neighbors? No, he could not. So the headmaster asks the boy, could you bring the letter from the neighbors? Because there has to be some proof, right? The neighbors might have seen the funeral, might have seen the dead body, might confirm that yes, his grandmother died. So was there any answer from the boy? No, there was no answer. None of his neighbors could read or write because he lived in a very illiterate part of Elaman Street. Then the headmaster offered to send a teacher to this illiterate locality to ascertain from the boy's neighbors if the death of the grandmother was a fact. So what does the boy say? No, the neighbors cannot read or write. They are absolutely illiterate. So what does the headmaster do? He asks a teacher to go to this boy's locality and confirm whether any death take place or not. So the boy immediately, what does he say? A pause, some perspiration, and then the answer that the neighbors could not possibly know anything about it, since the grandmother died in the village. So what did this boy say? He perspirates. He pauses for a while and he perspirates. Perspiration means a condition of sweating. I'm perspirating right now. So the boy perspirates and then he gives another stupid answer, saying that neighbors had no idea because the death did not happen in the place where he was staying. It happened in village. Grandmother died in a village. So the neighbors will not have any idea of this death. You look at the excuses these children are providing. Why do you think they are giving such excuses? Because these were the children who did not want to attend the classes regularly. They always wanted an excuse to skip going to school. So the protest of the previous day came as an opportunity for them to escape from the classes and the torture of the headmaster. The headmaster hit him on the knuckles with his cane, called him a street dog, and pronounced the punishment 15 days suspension. So what did the headmaster do? The headmaster hit him on his knuckles. I told you the headmaster is quite strict. He beats the children up. So he beat him on the knuckles and he called the boy a street dog, and he announced a punishment. He suspended the student for 15 days. When Swaminathan Stern came, he looked around helplessly. Rajam sat on the third bench in front. He resolutely looked away. He was gazing at the blackboard intently. So what happened now? Now all the boys gave their excuses. Now it was Swaminathan's turn. Swaminathan was really nervous and he was constantly looking at his friend Rajam, because Rajam's relations are not great with money. Swami scares that what if Rajam reveals about the fact that Swami broke the window, broke the headmaster's office window. So this was the reason he was very nervous and he was constantly looking at Rajam. But yet the back of his head and the pink ears were visible to Swaminathan. It was an intolerable sight. Swaminathan was in acute suspense lest that head should turn and fix its eyes on his. He felt that he would drop from the desk to the floor if that happened. So Swami, all this is the description of how Rajam was looking, how Rajam's appearance was. Rajam seemed to be quite angry and Swami is scared. If Rajam looks at Swami's face, the headmaster may realize that Swami had done something wrong and he would be really punished severely. That's the reason why he was really scared with Rajam. The pink ears 3 benches off made him incapable of speech. If only somebody would put a blackboard between his eyes and those pink ears. So on seeing that horrible sight of Rajam, who appeared to be quite angry, Swami thought that had there been some board, it would have been better for him to hide behind that board. He was extremely nervous and that sight was making him even more nervous. He was deaf to the question that the headmaster was putting to him. A rap on his body from the headmaster's cane brought him to himself. "Why did you keep away yesterday?" asked the headmaster, looking up. Swaminathan's first impulse was to protest that he had never been absent, but the attendance register was there. So what happened now? Swami was lost in all of these thoughts. He was thinking, what if Rajam reveals what Swami and Mani did the previous day? All these thoughts were going, then suddenly headmaster approaches Swami's desk and the headmaster brings the cane towards Swami's shoulders and he asks him the reason for being absent the previous day. Now Swami was thinking to say that he was not absent at all, he was present, but he could not say that because the register was lying right there. The headmaster could check the register and find absent mark in that. So that was a complete nonsensical idea, so he dropped to say that. "I tried to come, but they took away my cap and burnt it. Many strong men held me down when I tried to come. When a great man is sent to jail, I am surprised to see you, a slave of the Englishmen. Didn't they cut off Dhakka Muslin, slaves of slaves? So what happened? Now all these thoughts were going on in Swami's mind. He was actually thinking to say all these. He thought to say that a group of men took away his cap, they burnt it and they held him down. He was actually trying to come, but few of them took away his cap, they held him down. He actually thought to call the headmaster, the slave of the Englishmen. Don't you realize the Britishers cut the finger of the weavers in Bengal? You slave of Englishmen. He was about to say these to the headmaster, but he could not. He was unable to put his thoughts into a meaningful behavior. Now this proved quite dangerous to Swami. These were some of the disjointed explanations which streamed into his head, and which even at that moment he was discreet enough not to express. So he was clever enough not to express these thoughts. Despite the fact he was thinking to call the headmaster the slave of Englishmen, he did not utter that. He did not say that. He did not talk about the incident of losing a cap or participating in protest, etc. He just didn't know how to put it out because he was already very nervous. So he stood there quietly. He had wanted to mention a headache, but he found to his distress that others beside him had one. The headmaster shouted, "Won't you open your mouth?" He brought the cane sharply down on Swaminathan's right shoulder. Swaminathan kept staring at the headmaster with fearful eyes, massaging with his left hand the spot where the cane was laid. "I will kill you if you keep on staring without answering my question," cried the headmaster. Now what did the headmaster do? The headmaster was growing quite impatient because Swaminathan was not uttering any word. He was not speaking up. So the headmaster places the cane on Swami's shoulder. He places it in a very hard way, which was slightly painful. So Swami rubs his shoulders and he stares at the headmaster. I couldn't come, stammered Swaminathan. Stammer means difficulty in speech. When you are unable to utter the words, when you are nervous, or it's a general condition. A lot of people have stammer, difficulty in speech. So he was just unable to provide with a reason. "Is that so?" asked the headmaster, and turning to a boy said, "Bring the peon." So Swami says, "I just could not come." Then the headmaster says, "Oh, really? You couldn't come?" He orders one of the boys to go and bring the peon. Peon refers to an assistant. Okay. So the peon arrives and let's see what he says. Swaminathan thought, what is he going to ask the peon to thrash me? If he does any such thing, I'll bite everybody dead. The peon came. The headmaster said to him, "Now say what you know about this rascal on the desk." So the peon comes there and the headmaster asks the peon, "What do you know about this rascal, this worthless person on the desk?" The peon eyed Swaminathan with a sinister look. Sinister means very evil, very bad, dangerous look, and demanded, "Didn't I see you break the panes?" Peon says, "Didn't I see you breaking the headmaster's window?" "Of the ventilators in my room," added the headmaster with zest. Here there was no chance of escape. Swaminathan kept staring foolishly till he received another whack, another thrash, another beating on the back. The headmaster demanded what the young brigand had to say about it. Brigand refers to the group of thieves. Here the group of thieves are actually the boys who were standing on the desk. He asks all of those boys, "What do you have? Will you say something?" Because Swaminathan was not, but they had nothing to say. All of them were quite nervous. It was a fact that he had broken the panes. They had seen it. There was nothing more to it. He had unconsciously become defiant and did not charge a care to deny the charge. So As Swami was unable to put his thoughts into meaningful behavior, as he was unable to speak up for himself, the headmaster decided, he believed that he actually broke the windows. When another whack came on his back, he ejaculated, "Don't beat me, sir, it pains." This was an invitation to the headmaster to bring down the cane 4 times again. He said, "Keep standing here on the desk, staring like an idiot till I announce your dismissal." So what happened? Now, because Swami was unable to speak, the headmaster grew even more impatient and he turned furious. He beat Swami up again. When Swami felt a sharp pain, he said, "Please, sir, don't beat me, it pains." But the headmaster doesn't listen. He beats him up for 4 more times. He beats him up in a very hard manner. And what does the headmaster say? He says that, "Keep standing here till I announce your dismissal." Dismissal means suspension. The title is Swami is expelled from school. Expelled means to force someone to leave, to ask someone to leave. So he said, "Just keep standing on the desk. Keep receiving these beatings till I announce your dismissal, your suspension." Every pore in Swaminathan's body burnt with the touch of the cane. He had a sudden flood of courage, the courage that comes of desperation. He restrained the tears that were threatening to rush out, jumped down, and grasping his books, rushed out muttering, "I don't care for your dirty school." So what happened? Even after saying that, "Sir, it pains, please don't beat me," the headmaster doesn't listen. He beats him up again and again, due to which it becomes really painful for Swami to bear it. And he finally gathers courage. He gets off the desk, he grabs his bag, and he says these words like, "I don't care for your school," and he walks out of the classroom. So this particular dialogue of Swami shows that he finally learned to be independent. He rebelled against the negativity that was happening, the injustice that was happening to him, and he eventually learned to speak up for himself. He stopped tolerating that beating, and what did he say? "I don't care for your dirty school," and he walks out of the classroom. All of this you can see in the form of an episode. Swami and Friends was also telecasted. You can still watch the episodes on YouTube. I'll provide the link of this particular episode in the description box. So after this video, go to the description box and click on the link. It will directly connect you to the video of Swami and Friends episode 5, where you can see right from the speech of the activist till this incident of Swami leaving the mission, Albert Mission School. So I request you to watch that episode for your better understanding. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I even hope you understood it. So yeah, that was all for today's video. We shall meet in the next video. Until then, goodbye and take care.